Gators Breakdown episode 31 coming your way with the Florida versus Iowa Outback Bowl preview. David Waters, your host, with Joey V. And once again, Mark Moses is joining us. We enjoyed him so much the week of the FSU game. We had to bring him back for this. A little bit of background covering Iowa. So, of course, one of the first people we thought of here on Gators Breakdown to get that going. You can find Gators Breakdown. You can watch us live right now on YouTube if you're watching. And then, as you know, we convert this and put it out in audio versions as well on SoundCloud and iTunes. So like, share, comment, like it. If you don't like it, comment too. We'll take some criticism. It wouldn't be the first time. But Gators Breakdown, Florida versus Iowa Outback Bowl preview. Joey, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself, David?
I'm doing great and doing great. Mark, how about you?
Hey, I'm doing just fine. And I just like to say I am playing I have the air conditioning on right now. That's right. It's not -5. You could see it in my video shot. That's right. I am playing and messing with the air conditioning right now. It's that hot here in Florida.
It is. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I was joking before we came on here. My goal in life is to never shovel snow. And
I do want to wish a Merry Christmas to David and a Happy Hanukkah to my good friend Mark.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, Hanukkah starts on Christmas Eve. Yes.
That's right. Yes. I'm breaking up with Jay Cutler. That's my Hanukkah gift to myself. It's gonna be awesome.
The Bears shall have shalom. They shall have peace. So
yes.
If they up with with Jay Cutler,
you're absolutely right.
Gators Breakdown, like I mentioned, we're going to break down Florida versus Iowa Outback Bowl. This is your Outback Bowl preview show with myself, Joey, and Mark. You can find Mark every day. Mark is Monday through Friday on the Fan 1560 in Melbourne?
Yeah, 3 to 6 Eastern time. And, yeah, you can listen online at sportsradio1560.com as well, David.
All right, let's dive into this Florida versus Iowa game. It's a match we've seen in Tampa a pretty good bit, with Kirk Ferentz being there a lot. But, this would be his third coach he gets to face from the Florida side when he got to face Ron Zook, Urban Meyer, and now Jim McElwain for Kirk Ferentz. 1-1 in the two matchups previously. So, Mark, a simple question, I guess, with the way Florida's been trending and the way they've ended the season going on 2 years in a row now. In Iowa, they've lost 4 straight bowl games dating back to 2010, and we all remember how they got destroyed in the bowl game last year against McCaffrey and Stanford. I guess that's two things you could look at, but just generally and looking at it from afar, who needs this game more, Florida or Iowa?
See, it's a great question, David, because you look at both these teams, we don't know who's going to show up. Like, if you look at Iowa, they lose to North Dakota State. Then they come back and beat Michigan. So who's showing up for this team? That's why they're a wild card. Same thing with the Gators. Who's showing up for this game? The team that still got steamrolled against, Florida State and Alabama, or is it going to be a team that beat LSU a couple weeks ago? We have no idea, and especially like you're saying, they lose to Michigan last year. They didn't even show up in that game. That was, I don't know what that was. Honestly, this is bigger for Jim McElwain. I know we're on Gators Breakdown, but I have to go with the Florida perspective. Iowa will always be Iowa. They're not going anywhere. Kirk Ferentz is not going anywhere. Jim McElwain, okay, I get it. You get the 15 practices. He needs a little momentum going into National Signing Day. He can't have 2 straight years where you lose to Florida State, Bama, and don't show up in the bowl game. They better show up and play. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. I don't know what he's going to do, but I want your guys' take. Gators have to at least show up and play a football game. They cannot just be a no-show like they did with, Michigan last year.
Yeah, the quarterback's going to be Austin Appleby. It's already been announced. So I think the reason for that is because I think they just want to save the red shirts for both of the guys for the spring. And I think Iowa's offense is bad enough to where McElwain feels comfortable with Florida's chances on defense. And I think a lot of the players learned from last year, Mark, about how not showing up in the bowl game really does affect your chances because the guys that already had their 1 foot out the door, such as Vernon Hargreaves and Bullard and those guys, pretty much never showed up. And Jim McElwain, if you heard his Iowa Outback Bowl press conference, he made a comment about how Dante Fowler is the standard for guys that are leaving for the draft. that need to show up at bowl games. If you remember 2 years ago in the Birmingham Bowl, Dante Fowler had a ridiculously good game against ECU, and ECU had a really good offense that year. And a lot of guys showed up that were going in the draft that year. Last year, a lot of the guys took plays off. They just didn't care. If you remember, Vernon Hargreaves actually got benched on that long touchdown pass to Chesson. So that's one thing that still sticks, I think, in McElwain's in his craw. I think the reason that you see no Florida players declaring for the draft right now is specifically based on not wanting to distract the team from the bowl game like last year. I think they were embarrassed last year. Like you said, it crept into the offseason. No momentum going into the offseason on a 3-game losing streak. And I think this year they know that it has to be different. The Outback Bowl is going to be a very Florida-friendly crowd. It's going to be very, very much more Florida than Iowa fans, just due to location. I think Florida has everything going on its side as far as defensively. Florida's offense obviously got the running game rolling against everyone but Alabama. So I think Florida can be very successful just running the ball and playing defense against Iowa because, frankly, Iowa's offense is terrible. I mean, they stink. All their best wins this year, they haven't scored many points. They beat Michigan 16-13. They haven't really looked impressive on offense as has Florida, but Florida, I think, has faced better defenses this year than Iowa has. So I do like Florida's chances in this game. And I do think that Florida's players that are going to go in the draft are going to show up and play as opposed to last year.
Mark, it was Kirk Ferentz. We'll start at the top for Iowa and looking at him. He seems to have been there forever. One of the longest tenured coaches in college football at one school. And just when it seems to be going wrong for Iowa, all the hot seat talk starts, or maybe he's going to the NFL or something along those lines. But then he turns it around. Iowa starts winning again. Is there a secret formula for him when you covered Iowa or anything, or how's he seem to be able to turn it around when everything seems to be going the wrong way at Iowa? And now, for 2 years in a row now, Iowa's been a pretty good team.
Yeah, he is one of the most underrated coaches in college football. The problem is he's in Iowa, right? If this guy was in the SEC, you heard more about him, but he's not. He does a great job, and his resume is very underrated. Big Ten championship, division championship. He gets players drafted in the first round. He plays his type of football. He plays Big Ten type football. You get your big linemen, you run the ball, you play in the snow, and he's constantly in big bowl games. He's constantly getting top 25 wins. Hey, look, remember last year they're in the Big Ten title game against Michigan State. Michigan State does the long run at the end, like a 20-play drive or something. Then they have to go to the Rose Bowl, and you were talking about this before. They get killed by Stanford, and the joke always when I lived in Iowa was he's the highest paid employee in the state of Iowa. Well, he should. He's the coach of the Hawkeyes. This thing, Joey, I loved everything you said, but my only problem with the Gators is with McElwain so far is it's been 2 years in. The excuse is I don't have the players. And what really angers me about the offense for the Gators going to this game is, well, we'll just do this, this, and this, and we'll be fine. How about the attack someone once in a while? I'm sick of the offense being vanilla, right? All right, well, we'll just have Jordan Scarlett do a couple plays, and we'll have this. Hey, make it a little more sexy to people out there. You can't just show up and say, we're going to do this, this, and this, like I'm saying. You have to attack Iowa, right? You were saying, Joey, where the offense is not good for Iowa. Well, who says the Gators offense is that good? I don't trust Austin Appleby in a game. Luckily, this will be the last time we have to see Austin Appleby in a football game. We need to do this game and then move on and go with another quarterback. Would you guys agree with me on that one?
Oh, yes. I actually have a question about that.
Okay.
McElwain mentioned in his Outback Bowl press conference that Luke Del Rio has started throwing, and he will be throwing as soon as they get down to Tampa, and they'll see where he's at. If he can go, and you think, or more than likely, he'll be on the roster next year, do you play him over Austin Appleby just because he will still be on your roster next year?
Yeah, I would. But then I would have him. But then the problem is Luke Del Rio your guy again next year?
No.
I see. I want to. I agree with Joey. I want to go young. I want to see what Felipe Franks or Kyle Trask can do, or the Allen kid as well. Just won another state championship in Florida. I want to see something new. This is not working for people. Look, I was in Atlanta, and every Gator official kept saying the thing is we won the East. We won the East. That's not good enough for me, and that should not be good enough for Gator fans. The point is two things: beating Florida State and winning the SEC. It's not just, backdooring your way into the title game and then getting annihilated. You have to go play in better bowl games. The Outback Bowl is not good enough. You should be winning the SEC and then going maybe for the 14 playoff. I don't understand why the expectations got lowered around here. That's the part I understand. That's why year 3 is going to be huge, guys. I mean, it's going to be huge for Jim McElwain.
Yeah, I can't see Luke Del Rio starting for Florida next year unless something drastic happens or something, catastrophic. Yeah. I really think it's going to be a two quarterback race. It's going to be a battle between Trask and Franks in the spring, and whoever comes out on top is going to be the winner. The coaches are really high on both quarterbacks. I think McElwain knows, and judging from his comments, especially about recruiting and stuff, I think he's starting to see the light in the shortfalls that he's really had this last year and a half or so. So I really do think that Luke Del Rio will not be involved in the offense at all, barring some, like I said, catastrophic injury or something like that. And I think that's the main reason why he's not starting for the game. Because if he's healthy enough and you think that he's going to be your guy next year, you start him. He's healthy, and he's going to be the backup quarterback. And I think that's just kind of maybe a send-off, kind of a parting gift for him, because I just can't see him being a quarterback on the roster next year. If he's a third guy, maybe a graduate assistant coach, because he did graduate recently last week. He did receive his degree from the University of Florida, so he will be in graduate school. But I do think it's going to be Felipe Franks and Kyle Trask's ball to win. I don't think Jake Allen will get reps this fall. I think they are planning on redshirting him. And David and I have talked about this in the past. A lot of coaches and a lot of players on the high school level are not too high on Jake Allen. He did show up and show out in the high school FAHSAA championship game in Orlando. But that was one game. He's had some stinkers this year. If you've watched St. Thomas Aquinas, he's had several games where they've won in spite of his bad performances. I can recall several games against big-time opponents where he's thrown several interceptions and didn't throw a single touchdown pass. David actually said that their high school teammates, or not teammates, but 7-on-7 opponents have said that he does not look good. So I would think the plan for Jake Allen is to redshirt unless he comes in and sets the world on fire in spring. He's an early enrollee, and if he comes in straight, beast modes out, Franks and Trask, I could see something being a competition 3-way. But I think the reason Appleby is starting is kind of a parting gift, like I said, to him and Del Rio. I think this is their moment, kind of their last college moment, and I do think that McElwain wants to not burn the red shirt when you could have 4 years left for either of the two guys.
Well, we know whoever is behind center, we've mentioned this, Austin Appleby, it's going to be tough against this Iowa defense. In the last 3 games of the season, where they beat Michigan, they beat Illinois, and they beat Nebraska, in that stretch, they've only given up 205 yards per game. And when we've seen anytime this Florida offense plays a tough defense, it's not too pretty. And we've seen it the last couple games. I mean, what does Florida do to get anything going? I mean, Iowa doesn't give up rushing yards, so Jordan Scarlett's going to have his time getting yards there. It's going to be on Austin Appleby to get something going. And, minus the turnovers against Bama, he wasn't terrible besides the turnovers. He actually had some yards. But in the FSU game where he held on the ball too long, he fumbled deep in their own territory. Florida can't have that from Austin Appleby. So what I would like to see, and we saw it in South Carolina game, we haven't seen much since, this is his last game. Use his legs some more. And I want to see some, as Mark mentioned, show some creativity from this Gator offense.
Yeah, absolutely. A quick question for you, Mark.
All right.
The Big Ten does travel You probably will see Iowa fans out in full force in Tampa. My first bowl game ever was the Outback Bowl in 2004, Chris Leak's freshman year, when Florida lost to Kirk Ferentz's Iowa team. Then Iowa had a really good defense then. I think they had Matt Roth on their roster, the linebacker. I think he had a failed NFL career, but he was still a stud. And I do remember Kirk Ferentz always has great defenses, and great defenses travel. Do you think that this could be a kind of a low-scoring game, like a 10-7 type game?
It can't be that low, Joey. There's no way, because you'll black it from your brain. You'll just blank it completely if that's the final.
Florida offense. Does anything surprise you with this Florida offense?
It's like David said, the game against Alabama, they came out firing, especially the first two drives. They were throwing the ball in Alabama's, super defense. This was interesting. Once he threw like the second interception, though, that's when they got a little hesitant and they put back the offense. I think they're going to come out and try to establish the run on this Iowa defense. I think they're going to try to do something to show that they're just as strong as Iowa in this game. But it can't be 10-7. There's no way. But what did the Gators score last year against Michigan? Did they have 10 points in that game?
7.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah, 7. Okay, so let's get to 8 points. Is that the key? At least get to 8 in this one. It's got to be better. And I think, look, you forget this. The Big Ten fans, they'll come to Florida. We were joking about this before the show tonight. It's 5 degrees in the Midwest. This is their vacation. They're going to come to this game, right? You and me, the three of us, we can go to Tampa anytime we want. But this will be a nice little vacation. Hopefully it's a bad vacation for Iowa fans. But, yeah, let's get more than 7 points for the Florida Gators, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. But David, this is for you. I do believe Florida's going to come out and be creative. I do see, kind of maybe Jim McElwain kind of saying, this is what I can do. We saw glimpses of it against Alabama, especially in the beginning of the game. I mean, for the first quarter, Florida looked like the number 1 team in the country, not Alabama. I mean, we can all agree on that. And then Austin Appleby turned into the pumpkin at midnight and turned back into his old Purdue bag self and just started, throwing the ball to the opposite jerseys and all went downhill from there. So, the plays are there, David. We've talked about this on Twitter and stuff. The plays are there. The game plan is there. The play calling is there. The execution has not been there. If the execution can happen, I think this Florida team is capable of scoring 30 to 40 points a game.
Yeah, before we move on against Iowa, Austin Appleby at Purdue last year, 23 of 40 for 259 yards and 1 touchdown in a 40-20 loss. So he has some experience against Iowa. I don't know if that really translates to what we'll see in the Outback Bowl. You think Austin Appleby in his Purdue days really bring anything to this game? Do you think that at all?
No. No. Let's make a pact here on the show. No more Purdue transfers to ever play quarterback for the Gators. Is that cool? Can we just move on from that?
Yes. I think we can.
Jeff Brom's going to make Purdue a better team. Purdue's going to make some noise. Purdue's going to beat somebody next year, somebody big. I think Jeff Brom is a great hire for Purdue.
Hey, I have a quick question for you guys, and you're the extreme Gator experts. I saw today that McElwain said Randy Shannon's going to be the defensive coordinator, like the interim defense coordinator. Is he playing for his job? Like, if they do well, do you think he'll keep him on as full-time DC moving forward? That's my question.
No, I don't think. I think the decision will be kind of made before then. If Randy Shannon is going to be defensive coordinator or not, I tend to think he will be. It's an easier transition with all the young guys on defense. Don't have to relearn a system or at all. Randy knows these guys. I don't necessarily think it's an open audition for Randy getting this job. But McElwain kind of did mention that he made it sound like they were waiting on the season to be over so they could talk with other coaches and not ruin their season. So Maybe, but more, I think that's more as in we're going to elevate Randy to DC and we're going to fill the void he left at linebacker coach, and maybe shift some other coaches around, as we don't think Mike Summers or Greg Nord or maybe, those two in general will be on this Florida staff next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this isn't really an open audition for Randy Shannon. McElwain's had him for 2 years. He knows Randy Shannon. He knows what he's capable of. The players know what he's capable of. This is kind of like David said, waiting for other coaches. We did hear a few whispers, last week when Jeff Collins did accept the position at Temple, that Tosh Lupoy, the linebackers coach from Alabama, who is supposedly their best recruiter on staff, probably will be getting a call from Florida. A few other names out there that could pop up.
Charlie Partridge, please.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard Gus Bradley. Good God, no. I don't want him. To keep him away from the state of Florida. I'm sure Jacksonville Jaguars fans would agree. Yes. But I don't think that Randy Shannon has this job by any means. I think the job is undecided. I think McElwain has a list of candidates that he wants to talk to. And like I said, one of them might be coaching in the college football playoff right now that he doesn't want to mess up their season, like David said, such as Tosh Lupoy. I think Tosh Lupoy, coming from a linebackers coach at Alabama, would absolutely lunge at the chance to be Florida's defensive coordinator. So I think that would get the fan base excited. McElwain hinted today that staff changes need to happen for recruiting purposes, which is a nice, it's a really nice thing to hear. I almost felt like Christmas was today and not Sunday, for him to say that. So he obviously does know the shortfalls on the trail. Few staff changes I think he needs to make besides hiring a new defensive coordinator. I think we can all agree that Greg Nord has done an absolutely terrible job with the tight ends. A lot of people want to see Mike Summers go because Mike Summers can't recruit anymore. He might be a good coach, but he just is too old to get out there and recruit. I wouldn't mind seeing, I think buddy TJ actually texted me this yesterday and said that this offseason will be McElwain's most important offseason of his career at Florida. How he recruits, finishes recruiting on signing day, and how his hires go in January will determine the success of his staff and his team going forward. And I couldn't agree more. I think he has to make a slam dunk hire on the defensive side of the football. And Randy Shannon as the defensive coordinator, you got to bring somebody else in as a linebackers coach. I think you got to get rid of Greg Nord. I think you got to bring somebody else in. I would really, really love to see a splash hire like last year. He hired Torian Gray. That was a splash hire. He needs a splash hire, and I think he needs to finish strong on signing day, Mark. We don't have the early enrollees that we did last year. Remember, we were setting records with early enrollees. We don't have the amount of early enrollees as we did last year. So I really think that January is going to be the key month for the McElwain staff, so to say, in his future at the University of Florida.
Yeah, I agree on all those points there. I do think Randy Shannon gets the job, but for recruiting purposes only for that South Florida area. But I'm not sure what happens to him if he doesn't get the job. It would be, I think, an odd situation if he doesn't get it. Before we wrap up, I want to move to the other side of the ball and talk about the Florida defense. Iowa's offense is built on the run game. I have two running backs who looking at 1,000 yards, two running backs at 1,000 yards, and the CJ Beathard, Iowa's quarterback, 17 of 36 for 146 yards in back-to-back games against Michigan and Illinois. Is it really, if Florida's defense shows up, is it really just stop the run and you win this game?
What did you say those stats were? 17 for 35 for not even 200 yards? Is that what you just
said? 17 of 36 for 146 yards in back-to-back games.
Man. Look, the three of us can throw better than that. Come on. Just by throwing the ball backwards, with our eyes like this, I think we can do better numbers than that. That is not good. You know what, Joey? I agree with you. You have to feast on this Iowa offense then, if that's the best you can do. But you're right. Iowa's going to just try to solidify the run. They're going to try to run on this defense. And the key is Are those Gators defensive players, especially the ones that can go in the first round of the draft, are they going to want to play this game? We know Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette don't want to play in bowl games anymore. So we're going to have to see if this Gators defense will want to show up. I saw multiple mock drafts that have maybe 3 or 4 Gator starters on defense going in round 1. 3 or 4. That is unbelievable. The question is, are they going to want to play in this football game? Joey said 10-7. If you're putting up numbers where you're throwing the ball 36 times and you can't throw for 150 yards, then yeah, Iowa's going to try to run the ball in this game. That will be the key. You can shut that down, then yeah. If you can put 8-9 in the box, yeah, you're going to shut down Iowa. That will be the key. It's really the Gators. Do they want to show up for this bowl game? That's going to be the key for this one, man.
Yeah, I agree that Iowa has trouble converting third downs as well. So if Florida gets them, Florida can stop that run game, get them in third and long. Maybe they get the defense in it with some key interception turnovers, as we saw. That's that's how Florida gets up big, and we saw more perfectly in the Kentucky game earlier this year, or Missouri game where they had 2 pick sixes with those quarterbacks. You start letting them make them force some throws, and we see what this Gator defense can do. So Gators Breakdown episode 31, previewing the Outback Bowl with Florida Gators and the all Iowa Hawkeyes. Joey, anything else for Mark?
Yeah, Mark. Before we let you go, can we get a score prediction that's not 10-7?
I'm gonna go
9-7.
I'm 9-7. That's what it's 3 field goals by Eddie P. That's what it's gonna be.
That's a Will Muschamp special right there.
Yeah, hey, you'll take it if it's a W. It's like when they beat Tennessee. What was that score? 10-9. Remember? Isn't that what he did? He had Treon Harris come in.
Openly admitted that he would win every game 9-6 if he could. He said that openly. Did.
And that's why he's the coach at South Carolina now. That's the reason. 27-17 Gators with the W. That's what I'm going with.
27-17. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Is that okay? Or do you need more points from me, Joey?
Well, it depends on if you have faith in Austin Appleby or not.
I don't. But the Gators, like we said at the top, Gators need this game. They need some momentum. They got to do something right. I think the fan base just needs to be happy. Because when's the last time they were happy? Before Thanksgiving, they beat LSU. It's been a while now.
Go look on Twitter. People are ready to slit their wrists and jump out the window. So
they got the thing with McElwain. We got to see a quarterback that he recruited, he developed. He has to show that to the fan base. That's what it has to be. Mm-hmm. And you guys were talking before about the quarterback position. For National Signing Day, I tell every recruit, you want to come to Gainesville and be the man, the one that's going to save Florida, sign up today and you can be the man, right? If you're at Alabama, you might have to ride the bench. Florida State, ride the bench. I was in Atlanta when they said the top 25, like what was it, like all the MVPs from previous games. You know what got one of the biggest responsives? Tim Tebow, because he's the last quarterback the Gators have had. That can be you. You can be the next Tebow. That's how you sell Florida. Just be the man. Why is this so hard? All right. No more transfers. Get a young guy, develop him. All right. That's all I want. I want to see the new O-Dome renovation. I want to go to a game there, and I want to see the Gators actually get a quarterback. That's what I want for 2017.
I'm going to the Tennessee game, Mark, in a couple weeks. Florida, Tennessee, end of January. So are you coming? It's on a Saturday. It's a 4:00 tip-off.
I want to see Kentucky. I've never seen Kentucky play. I want to see that. When's that? We need to go to that game as well.
Yeah, that's in March. That'll be the first weekend of March, right before March Madness.
Okay. Home game all right, so we're going to Tennessee and Kentucky. Okay, let's do it.
Hey, Tennessee's good. Tennessee's decent this year. They're decent.
No, I'm going for the Gators. I'm sorry. I don't believe your ball's hype for men's basketball. I'm not into it. I'm going to the Gators.
Yeah, I think speaking just a little side note, I know I don't want to get distracted from the point, but a little on Florida basketball. We will be doing some breakdowns on Florida basketball occasionally throughout the year. We just obviously just for the big games and stuff like that. But I think Florida basketball is gonna go into the second weekend of the tournament, Mark. I do. I think you're going to see Florida basketball in the second weekend. Look at all the teams on the road that Florida has played early in the season. Florida basketball come February and March is going to be tuned up. They're going to be tested, and they're going to be ready.
Well, I want you guys to know, and real quick, what they did with the renovations, it was genius because they went to, let's go over these towns: Lakeland, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, Fort Lauderdale, just to get the brand out there. I feel like the brand for Gator basketball, since, that guy, that Oklahoma City coach, Billy Donovan, since he left, I feel like Gator, just overall morale for the basketball team has really made a dip. I think it's brilliant. I know Jimbo Fisher kind of did the same thing where he played in Miami, Tampa, Orlando, for his renovations. Gators are doing it right now for basketball. I think it's brilliant. My only problem is, how come you didn't come over here to the Space Coast or Treasure Coast, man? You went to Lakeland. They were in Lakeland playing a game. You can't tell me you can't come over here. I got a YMCA we can go play at. Like, seriously, that was genius by that administration to get that going. All right, I think it's great.
Because how simple would it have been just to say, all right, we're going to Jacksonville every weekend? I mean, it would have been that simple. But you're right. I think they really look forward and like, okay, let's do a state tour. And Mike White in the second year, and a good team coming back. Honestly, they were picked second in the SEC behind Kentucky. So it was a good time to go out there and get that brand out there. That was a good point. Well, but before we let Mark go, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up, and we'll do our little predictions for the Outback Bowl too. Joey, what you got?
Not 10-7. I think that Austin Appleby is going to be a little better than he was in Atlanta. So I'll say, you know what? I'll say 31-10. Florida wins blowout. I think it's going to be a blowout.
There we go. I got a fourth close game going into the fourth quarter. I got a 23-13 Florida. It'll be one possession, one score game late, and we won't believe our eyes. It will be an offensive drive that puts the game away. It'll kind of look like probably one of those 2012 games where it was close and Florida ekes it out at the end there.
Well, I'll be there, so I don't want to throw up all over myself. So don't give me that anticipation.
Well, yeah, maybe we'll get our wish and Eddie Pinero finally hits a game ender then.
Is that what we really want? Do we really want to beat Iowa on a 53-yard game winner?
Only if it makes it like 33-30. I don't want it to be 10-7.
Yeah, maybe even like 63-60.
63-60. That's what you want.
That's a Baylor Texas Tech type score right there.
Sure.
All right, there we go. Gators breakdown, Outback Bowl preview for Florida against Iowa. So for Mark, for Joey, this is David. Check out the podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes. If you're checking out live on YouTube now, thanks for watching, and we will see you guys later.